Welcome back to theCUBE's live coverage here at Google Next 2026. This is day 3. We're wrapping up the show with our, classic analyst notebook session with Sarbjeet Johal, who's king of the world, biggest dog in the game, and the founder and CEO of Stackpane. Sarbjeet, that was a little editorial plug from the team. You're a regular.
Thanks.
It's like we're synchronized. But I do want to say I really appreciate what you do. We appreciate all the social media collaboration. It's a teamwork, it's a partnership, it's teamship.
Yep.
You put them together. Yeah. But what I really love the most is that you really do dig in at these events and you get why I call it the analyst notebook. You literally have a notebook, a lot of notes there. You do survey with a critical eye and an optimistic eye as well on what's going on. So great to have you back. Thanks. For the analyst notebook, my favorite session of the day. And what'd you find? I mean, what was out there? What stories did you uncover? Obviously, when you look at the data, we came through theCUBE here, a lot of partner ecosystem, a lot of customers came on. Big time Google execs came on, VP of engineering, head of product, then go to market, head of SMB. We have all the leaders coming through. Very consistent theme, very good messaging, I would say, on Google's part, but the full stack is in play for Google. Ecosystem, big play. You've been briefed, we've been briefed on the situation. Yeah. Now it's time to extract the data. What did you find? Give us your report.
Yeah, thanks John, thanks for having me. Thanks to the team for that flattering words. Google actually has a lot of traction, right? And then market is rewarding them. Their stock is up 111% in last sort of 1 year. So they have doubled their market cap and all that stuff.
They go up higher when the Anthropic IPO hits.
Exactly.
They got a good position in that as well.
They have pocket in hand over there. They have pocket in hand over at the
a lot of investments going to come in.
Like space,
Starlink, SpaceX.
SpaceX, yeah. I mean, market knows, right? So they are actually kind of firing on all cylinders from different angles. But from the cloud and AI side, their models are well regarded, if you will, and they are now collaborating with other vendors, right? So like they let you consume any other vendor's technology in a seamless way, and then the cross-cloud data lake is another example of that, right? So they're kind of more open. They usually don't say that much.
I mean, no, they were clear on theCUBE. They said no lock-in. They are very heterogeneous oriented, and in fact, the Lakehouse, which is optimized for Iceberg and open table format, very critical product. Databricks is also here, and they're partnering. They're doing talks together. So, there is no, we're competing with Databricks narrative. The TPUs came out. NVIDIA's still here, so they're holding hands in public. We're seeing NVIDIA, obviously wants more action from Google, but Google clearly doing the Amazon move, building their own stuff.
Yeah.
Love that. They have distributed compute cloud.
Yeah.
They're going to be selling software to sovereign. So, up and down the stack, infrastructure to Gemini. I mean, Gemini is looking really good. It's also orchestrating, this agent layer. The control plane, as we say, is in play.
Yeah, actually, at the end of, I'm an economics major, you know that, right? So, at the end of the day, economics matters, right? When you're experimenting or building solutions, right, in the build phase, right, in the design time, you can waste some money, during the especially hype cycle. But when you put stuff in production, especially if it is at some decent scale, at least, their price to performance is number one, criteria for procuring any technology, right? So because they are vertically integrated, they have their own TPUs, they don't have to pay 70% margin to likes of NVIDIA, even though they will say they have NVIDIA chips and all that, they have to, because of the market pressure or there's need as well from many vendors, many of their customers actually, ISVs and bigger enterprises. But in short, they have much better economics of AI, if you will, right? They also, if you want to take a look at all the announcements from this show, right? So they did hardware announcements, right? They did 2 TPUs in this time, right? One for training, one for inference. So the numbers are I have some notes here. It's 5x latency improvement actually on the inference side. with the 8i, right? So, and 80x better price to performance. So they put a lot of SRAM into that, what NVIDIA is doing that too, right? So on the training side, they have 2.7x sort of better price to performance. And they also have their own Axion processor. So they have all bells and whistles. The network backplane is good, Storage, they didn't talk much about this time, but they did talk about storage in the context of data.
We had storage, had great numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
DDN's relationship with Google Storage, significant positioning. Alex Basari was here, you know him, he was dressed to the nines, he's a fashion machine. He actually laid down, and Google verified this, there's no storage competition. DDN and Google Storage are working together. And their numbers are significantly improved. I mean, like 22%. Performance throughput, just dominating. So, I got to give DDN props for that. So good story. They're hiding in plain sight. DDN doesn't do enough to put the word out there. We interview Alex, but they're running the table.
They are running the table. DDN is like this with NVIDIA. Like most of the NVIDIA stuff, whatever they have in the DGX cloud and all that, they use DDN. DDN is like more like you can call it AI storage stack, if you will, right? So, because KV cache is very important part of the, inference side of things, right? So,
all right, so Gemini dominated the headlines.
Yeah, so from hardware, TPUs, and
but let's go into the action.
Software side,
the data platform. They have things on the Open Data Cloud. AWS, Azure, Google Storage, and then any DB or SaaS. Alloy DB was talked about. Spanner, we were reigniting conversations. Yeah. We are living in a four-pillar IT world now, scale world. It used to be the Holy Trinity, compute, storage, and networking, but now you got to add databases with an S. Databases are now going to be the key layer at the control plane because AI native has to manage, whether it's Postgres for vibe coding and other things, you can pick your database based upon what the workload's doing. So if you want high-end, you go to Spanner. Graph databases, okay? Spanner or whatever you're using, Alloy DB, transactional. So you start to see everything kind of coming together as the stack connects to the cloud native. It's almost like two Lego blocks coming together. You have like the cloud native Kubernetes and container market that we've been covering in the CNCF from day zero when it started, and that is hardened. Still a lot of work being done, and the pioneers in cloud native have set the table, okay? And it literally is coming together with the AI native block. And that layer that connects them, call it a DMZ zone or whatever, glue tissue or connective tissue, that is a really key area. And I don't know how big it's going to be, Sarbjeet, yet, but I don't know. But I know that I'm seeing people, my friends and folks that we've also interviewed on theCUBE, that are on both sides of those communities coming together, and I know why they're coming together. It's like they're meeting in the woods, talking, like, hey, let's connect. Just starting to, the friends come together, but they're different groups.
Yeah.
Some overlap, but not 100%.
Yeah, actually, at the computing at the very base of it, zeros and ones, and everything sort of forks from there. So, like,
at the end of the day, the AI native coders want to play with the models, build some software. It kind of reminds me of when cloud came out. Hey, just DevOps, just make it all happen. I just want to code, and of course, the DevOps team served their friends, which was the developers, and then when security came in, you shifted left. That made the grind of security compliance work. That same movie is happening in AI native, except it's not just security, that's already baked in, it's the governance.
Yeah,
governance is the worst job on the planet for a developer. No one wants to do governance. Name one developer that says, hey, I'll do the governance.
No, governance always comes.
It's a different department.
No, always comes later. Like in the hype cycle, the governance is on the back burner. I mean, like, take any hype cycle, internet, internet 2.0, pick your sort of hype, like during that time, security is on the back burner, governance is on the back burner. It's by design. You know, it's not like...
In the old ways, it wasn't critical. Security was critical in DevOps. DevSecOps made enterprise adoption happen. In AI, governance is essentially going to make AI native apps happen in the enterprise. But here's the issue, is why I like this layer that's emerging, this control plane agentic layer is emerging, and that's why the Linux Foundation started the Agentic AI Foundation, because it's a different community, but it's brother, sister, brother to cloud native. And the governance looks a lot like observability, because one, you have to observe the agent. So there will be technologists in that layer, but it's not going to be the developer.
But there's a controversial thing happening there as
It's not going to be the AI developer.
Yeah, the controversial thing is this. Like many times in the analyst sessions and other talks from other sessions and all that, they're saying that, okay, the data we used to save in format which is conducive to human consumption, like humans need the data. Now we need to save the data or build the systems which are more like friendly to the agents. And I kind of cringe on that, to be honest with you, right?
You do, why?
Because on the back end it's good, like you can say that, okay, the different format, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the explainability in systems, that is a big...
That's a surface area problem for responsible AI.
Yes.
You got to have the lineage, you got to have the observability data, and it's not exactly the same as cloud native observability, but it still is technical.
Yeah.
And you got to have that in there.
And the agent, like SDLC, what do you call it, software development lifecycle, right? Yeah. Like we used to say it's software, but agents are software, right? So agent development lifecycle is in very nascency stage. Like all three big players announced the registry for agents in April. I mean, like just now, right? So, and they are doing the registry for skills as well. So, I mean, just very basic rudimentary blocks are being built for AI applications stack to emerge. We are in very early stages.
Yeah, but one thing about Google Cloud is that they have their own frontier model, and it's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, that's
okay, huge. You got OpenAI, you got Claude, and you got Gemini. Okay, I asked them this direct question. You have your own frontier model, and you have the full stack. What does that mean? It means, should I be worried? And they're like very upfront. No, we have our own model because we actually have workspace and CLI interfaces. So also, this is where workspaces, Gmail, all those services come into play, because now they look more like Microsoft Cloud, but they actually have a better cloud.
Yeah.
So I would argue that Google Cloud is better than Azure, because
I always said that.
What I see, well, they had potential because they had the deep tech.
Yeah.
Google's always had the deep tech. They had all the capabilities.
Their software chops are unmatched.
But you got Gmail, Meet, Chat, Docs, Slides, and Sheets.
They don't scale. They don't scale. Actually, I work for 2 cloud providers, right? So from that,
what doesn't scale?
Google knows scale.
Oh, they know scale.
Yeah, of course. If Google doesn't know scale, who does?
Google knows scale, but now their focus is laser focused, so their brain's cranked on this, and they're going to go vertical, but they're open. So no one can claim they're proprietary, because they're open. You can switch anything in and out, but they are
but at the same time,
domain-specific proprietary for their solution, which is the cloud. So, they balance that beautifully between, lock-in based on capabilities and performance. Their lock-in spec, Google Cloud's lock-in spec is our cloud performs and is trusted. Okay, and not lock-in as in hooks. Like there's no proprietary hook with Google Cloud.
It's a lot less, actually. It's all relative, right? So they are more open than Azure. Right, on the openness side, actually, AWS is not that like this as well. So, I mean, that's why AWS ruled the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in my point of view, AWS and Google are the top 2 cloud providers, and I've been saying that for the last.
So their surface here on their agent platform is CLI, Gemini Enterprise, Workspaces, Personal, and any third party.
Yeah.
Their runtime layer is Agent Engine, intelligence, and then naming, identity, observability, policy management, and gateway. You got to have those gateways. And then tools and connectivity is simply these registries, skills, tools, and agents. And then the MCP, not A to A, I saw on the slide, they didn't say A to A, but they did donate that to open source. And then at the bottom of the connectivity tools is doc store, SaaS, database, and bespoke EP. And of course, any other GCP service. So, You know, they're laying it out. They
So
have an
actually-
architecture that actually will fit a multi-vendor, multi-ecosystem partner, heterogeneous, distributed computing, hybrid cloud environment.
Yeah. So if you see the growth of like cloud in a way, that how cloud grew, like from first started with S3, and then everything else was at a compute, and then all other enchilada now, how huge it is, how many primitives are there. So in AI, I think Google has more primitives. They're defining it, like they're leading that definition of primitives in AI stack faster than anybody else. And
Well,
by the way, Tuesday,
I would say they're catching up. So
Yeah.
Google's catching up. Amazon's got way more primitives than Google.
No. Just AI stuff, agentic,
AI, okay.
agentic stuff. But
By the way, on the AWS front, I will just say, Amazon was way ahead of Google on having a DevOps
definitely,
agent.
yeah,
Their
yeah.
DevOps agent is very good. So like, I think AWS is smart on how to deal with their services, but again, that's for AWS cloud. They're not building a DevOps agent for...
They're pro grade, they are ISV friendly, they are big company friendly cloud, right?
Well, the thing that no one's talking about in the hype cycle, and we're just going to put it out here, not to be a wet blanket on the enthusiasm, but the costs are going up through the roof. Every single practitioner has admitted on theCUBE,
token.
you can review the videos, and our AI will pick it up, including the practitioners and the vendors. The cost to roll out AI with the tokens is high. Everyone's spending their token budget. Everyone's blowing their money. And the thing that came up from JetBrains and a variety of other developer-oriented platforms was, if you, and FinOps, by the way, FinOps leaders, is that one thing that people don't see as a hidden cost, it's the classic shark fin, the iceberg, what's under the water. What's under the water is the fact that if you change a model, you got to test it.
Yeah.
If it's in production, you got to then spend more tokens testing.
Yep.
So a little bit of a hidden cost there, Sarbjeet. You know, it's like, but then again, where's the value? So again, there's a lot of reinvestment going on budget savings. So that was a theme. Saving the cash from the savings, allowing it back in.
The reality
to
is
pay for
settling,
more tokens.
The reality is settling in. It's expensive. You have to test the stuff before you put it in production. And if you're doing anything serious, it is pretty cumbersome. It's becoming heavier.
The other thing I'd share with you that I learned on theCUBE is that this week is that there's 2 success motions for running AI transformation journeys, okay? And it came from Deloitte and McKinsey. And they both had different contexts. They both do both of these, but they're both different for different reasons. Model number 1 is pick a small win, okay? Yep. And the other one is pick a big, hard problem win. And the reason why they're different is that on the first small win, get on base, if you will, or bunt the ball down the third base line in baseball analogy, is for organizations that have a lot of skeptics or legacy.
Yeah.
So what that is that show the momentum, and that's about team formation, getting some momentum, get the small win, get a position, and knock it out. If a company's committed to AI, C-suite mandated, full budget, McKinsey pointed out that, and this kind of was new information to me because that didn't make sense, but now it makes total sense. Pick the hardest business problem that drives revenue.
Yeah.
And throw all the gas at that, gas that up, and then look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have the workflows, they know the process. So that's where the big money's going, is on these big, game-changing projects. And that's if there's an executive and full team commitment, meaning they have the executives on board, they have the AI team that's cross-functional, multiple stakeholders, and they have developers. They go all in. I mean, go all in to prove the point. The other one is, hey, get the wins, see, we're working, it's going good, and then that turns into bigger beachhead, AI competency centers, more excitement, and then kind of takes the skeptics out of it, because the skeptics are causing paralysis.
Yeah, they always
because
do.
they, then they go into, I asked one guest, what does paralysis look like? Multiple projects.
Yeah.
That are like just hanging around, and they see it's not working, or like there's a lot of
it's
gamification
of. I mean,
making it fail.
There's a lot of conflicting things happen at any typical enterprise. Developers want to polish their resume, right? So they will pick up something to cook up, learn something and all stuff. It's not meaningful in many ways for that enterprise, but it's meaningful for that developer or team of developers, right? So you have to, as a company, you have to have that good balance of, okay, you don't want to stop them from learning, but at the same time, you want to steer them into the right direction, how we want to tackle that. But I will give you a third frame, actually, in addition to what these two you have, like you pick a simple problem or pick a hardest problem.
What's the third one?
The third one is this, that map the AI to the type of system you're building. So I used to map the 3 flavors of cloud to 3 types of systems: the systems of record, systems of engagement, and the systems of innovation. So I kind of simply put that in the 3 buckets, but you can create systems of action or systems of intelligence now as well, but they can be collapsed into 3 categories, right? Yeah. So in the systems of engagement category, Gen AI solutions fit so good because those systems are language-based, more language-based than the number-based. Right, so they don't need these deterministic outcomes. Yeah. So when you're writing a marketing copy, you don't.
Okay, if you were a CIO, what question would you be asking the vendors here? Google Cloud as the major cloud vendor, and you can put AWS in that mix too, and the ecosystem. It's a broad question. So you got the hyperscalers, you got the neo clouds, and you got all the ecosystem. What questions would CIOs want to ask these people? What would be the
from the vendors?
No, if you're a CEO watching all this play out, what question would you be asking the vendors? What proof points, what's the hurdle? Take us through your thoughts.
Yeah, I won't be asking, like, very first thing, unless I'm greenfield, a new startup, right? Well-funded startup.
You're an enterprise CIO.
Yeah, I'm an enterprise. So I'll be asking, like, how do you guys work with existing data centers, right? Do you have good pipe between your NeoCloud and my data centers where I am, right? It can be your own data center, private, or it can be, AWS or Google Cloud and all that. So the cross connect is very important, right? So the second thing I'll be asking is that definitely about the pricing and price to performance, right? The third thing is, like, what is the know-how you will bring? Like, when you get money for a startup, it's a dumb money or smart money. So you can get dumb compute or smart compute. Smart compute is when the company which is providing you this stuff, they know the legacy stack as well. Their people know that. Yeah, they're aware of your problems.
Change management's come up a lot in the past couple of months. That's a big one. Getting people on board, herding the cats, bringing everyone together, it's a huge issue. That's always going to be a problem. That's what I say, you got to get those wins.
Yes.
Little to big, and everything in between. Whatever that takes to move the needle and get the support versus paralysis by analysis, and which causes slowness, and slow loses, speed wins. But the market's speeding very, very fast. So, to me, my answer this week coming out of this show is, how do you handle the velocity challenge, which is, first of all, it's an opportunity to be fast and you can win big, but is risk. The risk to speed is, it slows you down because when they move so fast, you're not catching up, you're not staying up with it. And I learned this week that the way to do that is to separate the models from these glue layers and these control planes, and things like the lake houses that are open table format. That's going to accelerate a lot of value because that just makes everything connect, the data sets. And True. AI will feed off that like nobody's business.
It's the market forces or the customers who are asking these vendors to do that. Because even if these vendors didn't want to separate these layers, they don't have a choice. Nobody will go to the vendors who are collapsing all these things. They say, hey, keep it separate. Loosely connected systems are much better systems.
If I was a CIO and I had to point at the key point to pressure on, and that's going to make everything go up vertical like a hockey stick, would be, it's the data model, the data lakehouse, BigQuery, these kinds of systems, but the lakehouse open table formats and aggregating data feeds into that system because then AI takes the ball and goes from there. So, to me, I think that's a critical, very nuanced, small little piece, but it's like that one little spot that makes everything blow up big.
Yeah, actually, if you can't get your data from your SaaS vendors and your internal data and your data at another cloud provider where you're using them for hosting a lot of other stuff, if you can't put the data in sort of one view, if you will, then you're handicapped, and that's why there's this interconnect, cloud interconnect. Yeah. These 3 providers are joining hands. They announced that last month or so, right? So,
Sarbjeet, we got to wrap up, but let's go through and summarize. I'll summarize my notes and then get your thoughts together. This show has been great. There's been many themes. I'll go down my notes from all the interviews, all the analysis of the keynotes, and the commentary that's come from our CUBE research team, including Sarbjeet and others. Here's my take. Number 1, AI is an execution layer. We've been talking about AI for all this time, and now with agents, how does it actually do the work? If this is a shift, it's an ability to execute for developers, for the deep tech capabilities, and also impacting the C-suite. No problem, everyone's now involved, and some companies hit all 3 of those areas, some will get forced to the bottom. So, it's how you think differently about the software, the business model, and the workflows and process. AI is the execution layer for all parts of the business. Number 2, infrastructure shift is happening. It's being built for agents, okay? This show proves that this infrastructure is purpose-built for agents, and agents will be a great thing that will feed the AI. And then, more under the hood, data, context, and memory was a big theme. We always heard data is important. What's different now is that you have to have context and you have to have intent. These are very specific things that are complex and get right, and so many agents fail because of this. This is a huge deal here at Google Next. And then, 4th, the control plane, the Gemini platform is hiding in plain sight, or not so much anymore. Gemini is also a control plane platform. It's going to run inside the company, it's going to run in Google Cloud, Google's selling the software to be on-prem. If you commit to this platform, you're kind of in. And then 5th, security. Agent on agent security. The huge topic, so we talk about agent security for governance and compliance, but agents are going to talk to agents. That's a big theme, we heard a lot here. And then, final couple points, impact of the users of AI. We all use it in our work. It's showing up every day, so the consumers are going to use it. And then finally, marketplace and the ecosystem, it's a platform, and that's causing all kinds of competitive dynamics, from being competitive to frenemies. We got Databricks holding hands with Google Lakehouse. You got all kinds of stuff at the UX side, so it brings it all together. And the bottom line, the reality check on all this is that the execution risk of going too slow or going too fast is the number 1 thing I'm taking away, Sarbjeet. So that's kind of my report.
That's a great list, actually. Yeah. I mean, you can even double.
I have a computer, you have notes, but so.
Yeah, you have a lot more because you have a computer with you.
Yeah, the number 1 thing I'm going to personally research is obviously how companies can be prepared for the shift.
This is still the best computer.
Well, the other thing is that the question that we're going to ask and theCUBE and SiliconANGLE is, how do companies prepare for the shift? And we're also going to document the frontier leaders in the companies. We have frontier models, we track that, but we're going to start tracking frontier enterprises, frontier players, people who are this first generation class one of this wave. We have to document these leaders because they're going to be, plowing the fields, and they're going to be the OGs. Like we had the Clouderati back in 2007. You're going to see this emerge here. So go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, actually a lot is crossing my mind. I can try to explain it with different analogies and all that. I usually say that to my extended family that, they say, what do you do now, right? I say, I just say I'm like a Shaquille O'Neal of tech world now. I played for a long time, and now actually I do commentary. Actually, seriously, what do these people do when they sit at the set like this? What do we do, right? Especially analyst role is a little different than
we're in the arena.
Yeah. So what we do is we analyze players, right? Leaders. We analyze teams, that's companies. We analyze pitches, like what pitch you're playing. Are you a database company? So those are different pitches, right? We analyze the rule makers. The game is changing all the time. Even in the baseball, the bat is changing, the gloves are changing because less injury, like our helmet is changing in football. So we analyze all aspects of the game, the pitches, the players, and then we also have to keep an eye on the regulators, right? But having said all that, so that's why.
By the way, I love that analysis of the tech of the game, the athletes, the players. Yeah. But also for companies, sometimes they don't even know which game they're playing, and they're on the wrong field. They're on the wrong field.
Yes, yes. only Michael Jordan could go from one game to other. Like not everybody else can do that, and many times people don't know what game they are in. So, and what are the rules of the game, of that game are, because game is so fluid, right? These games are not well defined as those games we are so used to. But coming back to the sort of reality, and we were talking about, like, one of the jobs of the analyst is to take out all this sort of noise that all these tech leaders want to sell their stuff. If you walk into a shop, right, they'll say, like, okay, is this garment better than that? They say, oh, this is good, and then you pick the other one.
Nobody wants a sales pitch.
So, yeah, exactly. But they will try to sell you anyways. They do that. Satya Nadella goes on the stage and says, we don't need programmers anymore. We don't need coders anymore. And even other leaders said that. Right? Not only Satya, right? But then later, when they have their developer keynote, they want more developers sitting there. Like, make up your mind. Like, first of all, number two.
Well, there's a lot of cliches around getting that social media hot take viral moment.
Exactly.
Software's dead.
I'm sick of that.
Your job's going to be replaced.
So okay. So as a leader of a tech company or a non-tech company procuring tech, you have to work with people who know different players and they can slice and dice. So I think SIs will play a big role in that. So let me bring back the old analogy I use all the time. Tech is like medicine, right? Every pill has a side effect, right? And there's the over-the-counter medicine, and there's prescription medicine. So there's a lot over-the-counter right now, but less prescriptive like medicine or prescriptive AI. But going forward, I think you have to take the prescriptive AI because to address your actual pain points, right? So over-the-counter versus prescription versus doing a surgery.
I mean, people want prescriptions. They want to.
So that's another.
I mean, one of the things I like about what you do, you have sharp analysis. You match the CUBE style. We like to be sharp.
I can match you. I mean, not many people can match your, you wiggly, I'm
a squirrely. I can get out Houdini on the questions, but no, we want to be direct and we want to get good answers from our guests, and because they're providing data. And I think this is what's great about these events, and as the community's reforming around what an analyst is, what an influencer, end user contribution on theCUBE has been the best. One of the best shows here. They weren't just end users being like a showcase piece for the Google. They were actually adding data into our content. They brought something to the table. That's like a software developer when they join an open source project. They want to contribute their code.
No, people love CUBE. Actually, we were before the show. Like, people come to me and say, "You guys are doing a great job." They think I'm part of the CUBE, which I am actually.
You're the king of the hill, big dog in the game.
But not formally, right? So, and people love CUBE because the conversations are honest, and the whole idea of you guys, you and Dave and other hosts, that you're keeping the people who come to this forum, if you will, honest. That's a tricky job actually. You have to keep them honest and still. Look, at
the end of the day, the game is still the same. The media and the web's changing. It's now social web. We see an abstraction with NYSE Wired, our new brand, a line extension, and our studio there. We connected to the money and the technology convergence of capital markets. That's C-suite. We have the deep tech. We have the developers. But what's different, Sarbjeet, is that when the community is wired up, like we're doing with the NYSE Wired community, how people get information is different, but the game is still the same. I have a need. I take a progression to discover information to find out what to do and find what I'm looking for, help me figure stuff out, learn, connect with people, find an expert, collaborate, get the idea from an idea into action. And I think one thing about AI is clear, is that ideas are not just a dime a dozen anymore. You can actually take an idea and put it into action very, very fast.
Yeah.
So with this AI, that's why you're seeing the startups coming out of the woodwork and rising super fast, is that applies to the enterprise and everybody. So whether it's personal, work, or startup, or enterprise, ideas can move into value. Yeah. And that's going to take human engineering, critical thinking, systems thinking, empathy, collaboration, teamwork and partnership, teamship, as we've been coined on theCUBE here.
And focus on economics, yeah.
And that's the new game. Yeah. And the new skill set for the athlete, the triple threat, is you got to be able to build, operate, and invest. Now when I say invest, not money, but your time and any returns you get in efficiency back into buying more tokens or doing new things. So you got to think about money, value, business value. So invest means think like an owner, business owner. So that's the triple threat in AI, and the skill sets to do that. You got to know how to build, you got to know how to operate, you got to know how to see value, and which is the money, and then reinvest that value into growing it. So very different than I'm the IT guy, I'm the database administrator, I manage the Oracle database, or I manage this infrastructure. AI, that's not my department. That's over. No. That's over. Yeah. That's over.
If you just change it, it will kill you. If you confront it, you will be most of the time you come out as a winner. But if you are afraid of change, it will kill you.
Change management is #1 problem that's going to get worked on by the top brains in the companies, and whether it's a vendor or a customer or partner, because they have to do it fast. If you can't handle change, it's like whitewater rafting. Have you ever gone whitewater rafting? Level 5.
Especially in
tech. Yeah, you're going to get thrown out of the boat. By the way, if you don't paddle together, you are toast. So we are in a high velocity whitewater rapids, and whoever gets through wins, and the winners take care of the speed. If you go too slow, you miss the boat.
The pace is picking up.
You're on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So,
the game is improving. It's a new game in many ways. And
well, Sarbjeet, we're at podcast level time here. We should go for Lex Friedman's record. What do you think?
We can talk for 3-4 hours about this stuff and still not be done.
Some cocktails. Great to have you on again.
Thanks.
I love the Analyst Notebook, sharing our notes. We got a lot on theCUBE. You've been out and about, scouring the venue, talking to people in the hallways at the Analyst session. Dave Vellante did a great post up on his LinkedIn on cuberesearch.com. Of course, SiliconANGLE has all the coverage. Of course, our great production team here. And Allison Kosik, she held her own today. She did a great job. Anchor on CNN for 15 years at the NYSE, joined the team.
That's great.
Frank Fay, the whole team is here, just doing team coverage here at Google Next. That's a wrap from the show floor. Thanks for watching.